What kind of message, Simon, are Nike sending out regards the national flag? Let's look at this, because for those who don't know, the England strip this weekend, little flag in the back of the collar, the neck, is different this time around. On Twitter, Nike announced the launch of the new England kit with fresh pictures, and they did it with a number of tweets with the pictures involved. So number one, they say the new England shirt celebrate football heroes of the past with a modern twist. Now, if you're watching this morning on YouTube and Facebook, you'll see what Nike have done with the back of the collar, which normally would be the red cross on a white background, the St. George's flag. Nike call this, what you're looking at now, it's a bit multicoloured, a playful update to the flag of St. George, appearing on the back of the collar to unite and inspire. And then they say the graphic side panels on the away kit pay homage to forward-thinking fashionistas. So they've gone all out to change this thing. Simon, you've seen it. We're joined here this morning by the former FA Managing Director, Adrian Bevington. Adrian, good morning to you.
Morning, Jim. Morning, Simon.
Morning, Adrian.
Adrian, thanks so much for joining us. Before you say your bit, Adrian, about maybe FA policy on something like this from the past, what's your take on this, Simon? What do you think of what Nike have done to your St. George's flag?
I don't understand why we need a playful interpretation of our national flag. I don't want to get into the hysteria and hyperbole that some other people are talking about, but I don't quite understand what we're trying to achieve here. It's part of our national identity. You know, you have the flag of St. Andrews, you have the flag of St. David's, and you have the flag of St. Patrick's in various other parts of the home nations. I don't quite understand why Nike, and I would suggest under the FA's brief, feel that we need to have a playful interpretation of our national identity. Are we somewhat embarrassed by it? Is it not part of our heritage? Do we not believe in its value set? Yes, there are a few people that have adapted it in a way that isn't particularly palatable. But I look at this and say, I don't quite understand why we would want to do this and why we feel the necessity to do it and what it actually represents, well, Adrian, and what the values of it are.
Would the FA, if you can wear your FA hat for a moment, would they have given the nod to Nike to do this?
Yeah, they have to, because look, I put my FA hat away a long time ago, but it's sort of still in the background forever. And we would always have the kit supplier come and present what they were planning to do, and there'd be different conversations that would take place. Generally, with the commercial people, it would then get put in front of the team manager, often historically, and then what I did when I got involved at the more senior level, I just brought the whole sort of management structure around it, you know, from the chief exec, the chairperson, commercial team, and the football people, and said, right, Nike, Umbro, as it was previously, come in, present, and then we'll have an open discussion about it before we sign it off. And I don't know the exact process now, but I can't believe this has been approved without sign off of at least the commercial director and the chief executive of the organisation.
What would you have done if you were still there, Adrian? As you emphasise, you're no longer there, of course, and it's been some time. But would you have encouraged the FA to sign this off?
Personally, no. I think it's an emotive subject, and it was always going to cause the conjecture that we've got. I always try to see it from all sides, and I understand from Nike's perspective, they're looking to push all the time and be cutting edge and as modern as they can be to the different markets they serve. But like what Simon's just said there, it's our flag. You know, when the games take place, particularly during the tournament, you'll see the stadium absolutely swamped with the cross of St. George hanging everywhere. It's a national identity, and I just don't really think it needs to be changed. And it's going to upset a lot of people because people do feel passionate about this.
I mean, Adrian's saying a lot of people will be upset, but it's just not just patriotism gone overboard.
No. When you have to have the problem with this country at times is the policy of appeasement and no central values, and that's why we have so many of the challenges we have in societal issues. And the reality is we have a national identity, and part of that is the flag of St. George's. It's not me getting carried away and being offended on behalf of it, but the bottom line is: is it a joke? Is our national identity a joke? Is it something that we're ashamed of? Is it something like people like Nike that allow biological males to wear sports bras to promote it to young kids in this day and age where sexuality and gender are becoming an ideological battle, are preposterously allowed to do these sort of things. And I don't understand the thinking behind it. It's great that you've got people like Emily Thornberry running around ridiculing the St George's flag and telling it it's the ideal of little white van men, which I think was an appalling thing for her to have done. But this has to be pride and value in the principles of this country. And if you're going to imitate the St George's Cross by turning it into something that's not, what is that underlying message? What's the point of it?
Well, Danny,
what does it represent? To unite and to show respect? What an utter load of rubbish.
Adrian, many listeners getting in touch. Here's one, Danny. It's absolutely disgusting they've changed our national flag on the shirt. All other night
on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.
One breath, he is not a little Englander. Then he gets offended like a snowflake because of the flag in another. He says, I'm English, I couldn't care less about this. I mean, what way do you think fans will think, Adrian? Because if anybody knows England fans, you do.
I think we've all got an opinion as an individual. Where anyone who's English is entitled to a view on it, and there's going to be a mixed opinion. What Simon said is correct, though. It's an emotional subject. It's part of our national identity, and it's the same as with the other home nations. With the St Andrew's Cross, are we going to see that changed from blue and white? Are we going to see the flag of Ireland change to different colours down the line? I don't really understand what they're trying to achieve by this, but it was always going to be something. If I'd been in the meetings at the very beginning of this myself, back in the time I was there, I would have immediately flagged up and said, are you sure about this? Because this is going to create a whole load of conjecture. Every time there's a kit launch, there's nearly always an issue of some point with a kit launch, because it's just the way it is. It creates a stir. This is a massive ticket for Nike in their football calendar. The England kit is one of their biggest sellers in the world. They pay a lot of money to be associated with the national team, and actually had a great few years because of the measured success of the national team under Gareth Southgate. So, it may end up selling more kits for them. Who knows? Commercially, it might drive it with the conjecture it's created. But certainly from my point of view, I just would have cancelled against it. And if I'd been in a position to sign off or not, I wouldn't have signed that off personally.
Barry in Hertfordshire is saying, I bet they wouldn't do that with the USA flag, so why the England flag? Mark is saying the England strip should have been left alone. This is quite shocking. People are offended. Adrian's saying it's a big seller for Nike. I wonder, Simon, if a lot of England fans, because of the view you're taking and they share in that view, might boycott it.
Well, I mean, that's for them to choose, and everyone is right. Adrian is right. Everyone has a right to an opinion. I happen to believe that the national identity of this country is something that we should be proud of. We should be proud of this nation. And I'm tired of the self-flagellation and self-loathing that goes on. And by the way, this is Nike that couldn't even be bothered to produce kits for Mary Earps. So let's not allow them to get carried away with their what I perceive to be virtue signalling. But I don't find it offensive. I find it unnecessary.
Do you pay this much attention, though, in the normal course of events? I mean, what does the St George's flag represent to you?
I think it represents a variety of things. I think it goes back to 1190 AD when it was first brought in as the values of this country, or BC, or whatever 1190 was. I feel that the strong values of this country are its inherent fairness, its balance, its equitability, its decency, its innovation, the substance of an island nation with its indomitable spirit. I think it's something we should be proud of, and it's something that should be represented on the back of our national team that are going into battle on a football field to win something for this country. And I don't think we should in any shape or form be changing for something that means precisely nothing.
Yeah, but do you, and Adrian, this is one for you as well, you could view it along these lines that a number of people have kind of hijacked the St George's flag of late, and it could have negative connotations to some.
So reclaim it.
Because of political beliefs, extreme
political beliefs.
All I would
say is if you walk at Wembley Way today and walk at Wembley Way on Saturday before the Brazil game, you'll see an absolutely fantastic statue of our greatest captain, Bobby Moore. And flying close by will be the Cross of St George, which is something that the FA and the England team have had above their greatest captain since the Wembley Stadium opened. And if it's good enough for that, I think it should be good enough for our national shirt. Do you know what? That's a great point, Adrian, because this particular version of the flag that Nike are putting on the back of the collar, Simon, would the FA agree to fly that close to Bobby Moore's statue, as Adrian has just described? Of course they wouldn't. So why have it in the back of the shirt? Well, look, you can answer that question for yourself, because there's a feeling of certain things about this country that we need to do things in a certain way, and not to take it off piece. This is another example of certain thinking
being foisted upon most people's views. And there's no necessity for it. It has no substance. The flag of St George's is an inclusive flag. It represents all people that live on these isles. It doesn't need to be adapted and turned into something else to tick some boxes for some people that sit in marketing meetings thinking that they've got the zeitgeist and what people should think and feel about this country.
Adrian, a final one from me to you. When something like this happens, is there time to do a U-turn in it? Would the FA entertain the idea of a U-turn in conversation with Nike once something like this has been signed off, as it has been?
I think it's very difficult for them because the kit will be massively in production now. It's out there, so the cost is huge, and they must have signed it off. Someone at the very highest level must have signed this off. So I'd be very, very surprised if this was overturned now.
Adrian Bevington, always like your contribution to the show. Thank you so much. Former managing director of the FA, Adrian. Of course, been in football, involved in football for years. Because normally it would be the flag of St George. Of course, it's an England shirt. Hence, the flag of St George would be prominent on the collar. But now Nike have decided to do it with a little twist. They say it certainly celebrates football heroes of the past with a modern twist. They call it a playful update to the flag of St George, appearing on the collar to unite and inspire. And what they've done is there's a touch of navy blue in there, there's a touch of light blue in there, and a touch of pink, replacing the horizontal line of the traditional red cross. We had it up there not that long ago on YouTube and Facebook. Maybe we can get that back while we're still talking about it, and then you can see, if you're watching, of course, this morning on YouTube and Facebook, as many of you are, there it is. There's the cross now that will feature on the back of the collar of the England shirt. And that probably will be the shirt that England will wear come the finals, one would think, in Germany. Once the Euros come along proper. But many of you not having it. It's quite simple. Mark in Button, Latimer, is saying, absolute disgrace. The flag of St George means a lot to me. I proudly have it as a tattoo. Why they feel they need to change it to appease a few is terrible, says Mark. And that, Simon, is the theme of the many, many messages that are coming in here. We're going to go to the calls in a second. Lee in Stourbridge is maybe overdoing it somewhat. Jim, Simon, England has fallen. I don't think so. I don't think so, Lee. What does Steve, the Manchester United, no doubt an England fan, think of this? Steve, good morning.
Morning, gents. Great show as always.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, I don't think Lee's gone that much too far. I think what it shows is that we're constantly bending over trying to drive a message that doesn't need to be driven. I think some things you just cannot change. You can't change your flag and you can't change your country's name. So if you want to drive a message and drive an agenda, do it through a slogan or something. Do it something that's not traditionally associated to the national team, something that can be changed year on, year out. But changing the flag is just an absolute massive own goal, and it's just, unnecessary.
Unnecessary. Would you buy this particular shirt, Steve?
No, not at all, because, then you're essentially, agreeing with the principles that, it's acceptable. And if I don't agree with the principles, then you can't support it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Many messages coming in. Many people livid about this, Simon. Greg in South London. Nike wouldn't replace the green background of the Saudi flag or the blue and white vertical stripes of Uruguay with rainbow stripes, would they? Why is it okay to do this to the flag of St George?
Well, that's my central principle. It's not about necessarily the flag, because people will go, oh, typical little Englander, that sort of mentality, better vote for Brexit. It's got nothing to do with that. It's to do with the central values of this country. No other country would allow this to be done. Why is it always the kindest and greatest nations are the ones that want to spend their entire time self-flagellating and self-loathing? It's part of the value set of what makes this country great, and we should spend more time on that rather than suggesting that everything about this country is institutionally this, institutionally that, wrong with this, wrong with that. No one else, no other country would do this. They wouldn't allow it to be done on their national shirts.
But Nike say this is in order to unite and inspire.
Right.
So what's up with that?
So this is the same Nike that couldn't even be bothered to produce shirts for Mary Earps. As I said to you earlier on, this is the same Nike that produced sports bras for biological men like Dylan Mulvaney to introduce an ideology to young kids in this day and age. I don't think we should be taking lessons from Nike about what we think are the central values in this country. And the FA are more than complicit in this, because the FA would have sat in a room like I've done previously in kit creations and gone to the kit manufacturer and gone, right, I'm thinking this. I would like a little bit of a tilt to the past. I would like to embrace the way forward with inclusivity being part of our central thinking, and I'd like, of course, the English colours. Could you come back with some representations? So off Nike go and do that. So the FA will have their silly little one-dimensional virtue signalling fingers all over this, and have gone some little 12-year-old in their marketing department that's got green hair and full of ideologies would have said, that'll do it. That's the one the country want. That's a very big, proud badge of honour for our country's national identity. Well done.
You're simply not having this. It's as simple as that. I'm looking at... normally when we talk about things in this show, as you can imagine, the reaction is enormous. The messages flying in. Not one person, apart from Ryan, who said earlier, I'm really not that bothered about this.
He's more digging about me and my comments about the Welsh and saying I'm not a little Englander, and then saying, well, hang on a second, you're defending the St George's flag. You've missed the central message,
Are you
Ryan.
a little Englander when it comes to the Welsh, but not a little Englander when it comes to changing your flag?
It's got nothing to do with being a little Englander. I don't have any care or concern for other nations' achievements on a football field. I don't wish them harm, but I do have a central belief in the values of this country, and I'm a great believer in calling things out when they're wrong. But also, in this country, we have a policy of appeasement. We do not deal with existential values, and that's why we have so many societal problems. If we did have more of it, we'd be a better country as a result of it.
No name in this one, Simon. The meaning behind the flag gives people and companies the freedom to show their interpretation of the flag, and this is what this is. This is such a trivial issue to get annoyed about. You got to go over yourselves. The outcry of jingoism is way over the top.
It's got nothing to do with jingoism. It's to do with national values, and part of why have flags in the first place. Why aren't we proud? It represents something. Why aren't we proud of what it represents? Again, I make the point. No other country would do this. They wouldn't allow it. They would understand the inherent value, and they'd be proud of the principles of their country.
Yeah.
So why do we need to take something and turn it into something that it's not, which, by the way, represents precisely nothing?
Well,
who are Nike to decide that represents unity and respect?
Dylan, I'm coming to you to have the last word on this. There's another message. Change our flag. It's an absolute disgrace. What will be next? I fear for this country. Dylan, who's a Liverpool fan and probably an England fan as well. Dylan, what's your take on it? The flag, does it offend you?
Yeah, it's not great, is it really? I mean, we all know it pleases a small minority, but the St George's flag represents everyone, you know. And how dare they change it, you know? But I blame the FA for this, not really as much Nike, because the FA obviously put their thoughts across to what they want, you know, on the flag. And now they've changed it. Unbelievable.
You're not having it. You're not. If you were, do you wear an England shirt, Dylan, as a fan?
Yeah, absolutely, I do. But I won't be wearing this one.
No,
that's a fact.
No, I mean it's north of £100 as far as I gather to buy it. So it hasn't gone down well. Nike and the FA may well get their heads together and have a rethink on this one, because with the Euros fast approaching, I don't think
they won't.
Many England fans.
They won't, because whoever had the intelligence to think that this was something people would like will have the belief system that it's a bunch of ignorant, little Englanders, as I said, Brexit voters, white van man like Emily Thornberry decided to categorise people as when she was taking...
What's Emily ever done to you? That's twice you've mentioned her.
I just like that particular arrogance and insulting derision of people's value sets.
All right.
But the point is that they will have felt this was a good idea. And the problem with people that don't start with a good idea, they tend to stay with the bad one.
Matt in Hertfordshire, just to finish off with, I'm kind of with you in this. How often do we actually think about the flag? We're divided over a flag? Really? How petty.
When you play for your country, you're representing your country. It's part of the reasons why you have international tournaments.
Do you think the players will care less?
Do I think the players? Well, I don't know. They seem to care a fair amount about putting on One Love armband on the national shirt and then taking it off at the first available opportunity when it had any consequence to that. So I don't know if they would or not, but they sing the national anthem. Part of the national anthem, they have great pride in it. They bellow it out at times. And part of that is the value set of England, and the national flag of England is St George's flag. And people can categorise it and turn it into jingoism and parody it if they want, but it's about the underlying connotations. It's not just about the flag, it's about the erosion of the values of this country and the principles of what we stood for, stand for, and should be continuing to stand for.
You see, I could buy you a shirt and then we could snip out a little St George's flag and you could tape it over the flag they put on it. Would that make you happy?
That's a marketing genius.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.